mentors and gurus and teachers like you and Shri I.C. Bhatia sir. Yes, I cannot forget Raj K. Batra ji also. He also supported me in my journey from time to time. And now, without taking much of time, let me start the topic which has been awarded to me. And one thing is, I like to mention that SV sir, my elder brother, always chooses and give me a topic which is a unique one and a challenging one. Earlier he gave me the topic on Black Money Act, and today it is on virtual digital assets. So the topics are not very commonly used, but yes, definitely they are very important, and we must understand the ramifications of income tax on those assets. So very good afternoon to all of you, all gentlemen and gracious ladies present here, and Rashmi ji and KB Singh ji on the dais. So I'll start my presentation now. I have been told to discuss about virtual digital assets. First of all, we need to understand that what these assets are. As the name itself suggests that they are virtual digital assets, so they are not in a physical form. You cannot touch them, you cannot feel them, you cannot see them. They are in paper format, and this is a form of a currency, alternate currency, which is being used widely in the entire globe. Today we shall be discussing this topic, and first of all I need to give you the introduction of virtual digital assets. Virtual digital assets are those assets which are commonly used for making the transactions without use of any currency of any government or of any bank, etc. It is a parallel currency. In the year 2008, Satoshi Nakamoto conceptualized this particular thing known as Bitcoin. Virtual digital asset में सबसे famous जो है, जो उसका एक part है, that is a Bitcoin. What Bitcoin is, that we will discuss. And these assets were conceptualized in 2008, and they were brought on January 2009. From January 2009, the Bitcoins are in circulation. Thereafter, ETH, Ethereum came. They are also a form of virtual digital assets. The transactions used to take in Bitcoins and Ethereum from time to time. Ethereum were brought in by Vitalik Buterin in the year 2013. He evolved. He said that we should have something more wider as compared to Bitcoins, and he wanted to have a parallel currency which is not under the censorship or control of any government or any central bank, etc. So he introduced worldwide computers to make use of Ethereum through computer system and digital currencies. Commonly in virtual digital asset market, the Bitcoins are called as digital gold and Ethereums are called as digital silver. Both the things are in use by all the persons who are using it. So this was a brief introduction about this, and now we will be coming to the other definitions, charging sections, treaties provisions, how to show it in the income tax returns, what are the penalties and prosecutions, etc. in case of defaults, and how to make the valuations and gift tax, etc., and practical uses. So that I will be discussing with you today. As I have said that Bitcoins came into existence in 2009 and Ethereum came into existence in 2015. But till 2022, there was no provision under the Income Tax Act to govern that how these assets can be taxed, what will be the rules, what will be the procedures to tax these assets. In February 22, when the budget was presented by Honorable Finance Minister, she introduced that now onwards in India we will be taxing all the virtual digital assets, and there will be a special rate of tax at the rate of 30%, and tedious provisions will also be made applicable on the transactions of virtual digital assets. So in April 22, the Finance Act was brought in and definition of virtual digital assets was introduced under section 2, subsection 47, capital A, and charging section was 115 BBH. And then in July 22, the tedious provision was also enacted, that was 1% on the transaction value of virtual digital asset. So this is how the things evolved. Now a question comes to my mind that what to do about the incomes which came into my hand by virtue of sale purchase of virtual digital assets prior to 22. If I get a notice today and I am asked to file the return prior to 22 and I am holding virtual digital assets at that time, so how to deal with it? The Income Tax Act is totally silent on it. To my mind and to the best of my understanding, what I have gathered, in this case, we just cannot sleep over or forget about the incomes of those assets which we have generated prior to 22. So now it will be on me to take it in my income tax return, because when I get the notice under 148 or 158 BD, I will be asked to file returns of a previous periods also, and let's say 2021 is one of the year for which I am required to file the return. So how to do that? That is a very big question which is pondering on my head. I will have to first see कि मैंने transaction किया क्या, whether those assets were in my hand as investment or as business assets. अगर investments थी तो I will take them as a capital gain, and capital gain था तो फिर then I will have to see whether it is a long-term capital gain or a short-term capital gain, and accordingly I will start planning and I'll pay the tax at the rate of 20% if it was a long-term capital gain prior to 22, because after 22 the flat rate of tax of 30% was introduced, and for that I need to document the things. But now the counterpart department will say no, we will treat it as a business asset. So it is for me to prove whether it is a business asset in my hand. If my transactions are too frequent, then I cannot treat them as a capital asset and treat it as a capital gain. If they are limited, कभी-कभी कर लिया कोई trade, so in that particular scenario, I will advise that it should be taken as a capital gain. But I am again pressing on this assets because we cannot escape. And when 148 or 158 BD notice come, then when filing the return, we must take care of these things. So now, what are the definitions? Section 2, subsection 47, capital A gives the definition about virtual digital assets, which includes cryptocurrencies, stable coins, NFTs, and other notified assets. What are cryptocurrencies? I have introduce the virtual digital assets by way of bitcoins and Ethereum, ETH. So first is the most famous and the most prominent, the most type of virtual digital assets in circulation are bitcoins and ETH as compared to other currencies. Any information, code, number or token generated through cryptographic means are known as cryptocurrencies, and the examples are Bitcoin and Ethereum. Then the stable coins. Stable coins are the coins which have got the backing of the government. They are digital assets, no doubt, but they have got backing of the government. Like USDT and USDC are backed by Government of America, and similarly in India also now ARCs are there. They are part of digital assets. They are backed by our Indian government. Then coming to non-fungible tokens, NFTs, they are commonly known as digital arts, gaming tokens, etc. And other type of digital assets notified by the central government include DeFi coins, gaming tokens, etc. They are part of virtual digital assets. Now, whether all the events connected with VDA are taxable or not, that we have to look into. Sale of cryptocurrencies are taxable events if the sale is made and for Indian INR or for US dollars, etc. Similarly, crypto to crypto exchange. I am holding bitcoins with me, Rashmiji is holding ETH with her. I exchange my bitcoins with Rashmiji and we do the trading. So in that particular event is transfer from my side. I am transferring my bitcoins to her and she is transferring her ETH to me. So in both the cases, we will have to declare it in our income tax returns, and we have to compute whether there was a profit or loss out of that transaction. So that has to be taken care of. Gifting VDA. Gifting per se in the hands of person who is making the gift, donor, there is no tax on it. But definitely, donees, the person who is receiving gift, needs to pay the tax on it. The provisions under subclass 10 are applicable. That is, aggregate value of gift of rupees 50,000 has to be taken into consideration, which will include all type of gifts, including VDA gifts. So, gifting is a taxable event. Then mining rewards and staking rewards, these are just like bonus shares which we get normally from the companies. So in this particular case also, the operators issue mining rewards and airdrops, etc. So they are also treated as a taxable event, and the value has to be taken in the income tax return. Now, what are the events which are non-taxable events? Simply holding any type of virtual digital asset like Bitcoin with me is not a taxable event. I purchased Bitcoins prior to 22 and holding them till now. I purchased it after 22 also and holding them till now, but I have not transacted, I have not transferred those Bitcoins, etc. to any other person for any other kind of money or cash, etc. So in that particular case, that event is not, holding itself per se is not a taxable event. Transfer without consideration is not a taxable event, that is making gift, etc. Then moving crypto between your own wallets. I can have wallets at different places. I can have a VDA wallet in India, another wallet in Dubai, another wallet in America. So if I am having Bitcoins in India with me and I am transferring those Bitcoins in my own wallet at America, so that transfer will not be treated as a taxable event. There is no tax which needs to be paid on that. Buying crypto again is not a taxable event, because when we buy the cryptocurrency, there is no gain arise on it. The taxable event will come into play only when there is some income or loss of it. So in that particular case, it has to be taken care of. Then coming to the charging section. As I had told you that by virtue of Finance Act 22 in April, Section 115 BBH was introduced, and flat 30% tax was introduced and was enacted to be paid on virtual digital assets. This applies regardless of holding period, whether it is a short-term holding or it is a long-term holding. Irrespective of holding, I need to pay the tax on if I have earned some gain on it. So I'll have to pay tax at the rate of 30% flat. Only cost of acquisition is allowed to be deducted. Now, what is cost of acquisition? We'll discuss it later on also, but here I am telling you, cost will include the basic price, the basic value which we will have to drive it from the exchange at that particular time. So that is the cost plus exchange fee, gas fee, commission, etc. But that is my cost of acquisition. But for computing the income, all those expenses which are incidental for to the purchase of bitcoins, like commission, gas fee, internet charges, etc., they will not be deducted. Only basic price will be deducted, and on the balance amount, I need to pay the tax on it. No loss carry forward. Any loss which is incurred by me on the transaction of virtual digital assets sale or transfer, that loss I cannot transfer it to the subsequent year. I can transfer my other losses to the subsequent years up to 8 years. But in case of virtual digital asset, the law is very clear that losses are not transferred in the subsequent year. Then similarly, no slab benefit. My total threshold income is below the taxable slab, and I have incurred some gain or income on sale of virtual digital assets. Then I need to pay the tax and file my income tax return, in which I have to mention that this was my gain from the PPA, and the 30% tax I will have to pay, despite the fact that my total income is below the threshold limit. No loss set off. Losses of bitcoins cannot be set off against the gains of ETH or NFTs or stable coins or other digital assets. Even intra trade of virtual digital assets is also not allowed. Trade is allowed, setting up loss is not allowed. So losses cannot be set up against between two different type of assets. Overrides all other provisions. This act, the provisions of virtual digital assets override all the provisions mentioned in the act, and they apply to all assets, individuals, HUF, firms, LLP, company, business versus investment distinction is irrelevant. So, in case of LLP, the rate of tax is different. In case of companies, rate of tax is different. In case of foreign companies, it is 40%. But then also, since section 115 BPH is an independent section, it overrides all the provisions of the Income Tax Act. Flat rate of 30% tax will have to be paid, irrespective of the fact whether it is in the hands of individual or a foreign company. Then I have made a small example that total cost of acquisition was 1 lakh rupees, sale value is 1,50,000 rupees, taxable income is 50,000 rupees, and tax at the rate of 30% comes to 15,000. Besides, not only tax, we have to pay surcharge also and cess also. So here I have computed cess at the rate of 4%. So the total liability comes to 15,600. As I have already told you that TDS at the rate of 1% is required to be made. So on the sale consideration of 1,50,000, 1,500 will be my TDS. So my net payment after TDS will come to 14,100 if there is a gain of 50,000 rupees. Now, strict no benefit policy. I have already said that VDA losses cannot be adjusted against intra VDA, not only an intra VDA, but they cannot be adjusted against any other head of income in my hand. I am having my salary income, I am having my business income, I am having my house property income, capital gain income. So I am having any type of income. My losses of VDA cannot be set up against the other heads also. Cannot be set up against VDA gains, I have already explained. cannot be carried forward. VDL losses, lapses in that particular itself, and they cannot be carried forward. Now, TDS provisions. Section 194S was introduced from 1st July 2022, and thereafter 1% TDS needs to be deducted on the transaction value of the virtual digital asset. So, who is liable to deduct the tax? If the transaction has been routed to some exchange, then the exchange is liable to deduct the tax. If it is P2P, person to person, then the buyer needs to deduct the tax and file the returns. So, there is a threshold limit also. In case of specified persons, that is individual HUF not liable for tax audit, there is a threshold of 50,000 to mean that deduct TDS if the total value of transaction value is below 50,000 rupees or up to 50,000 rupees. In all other cases, it is 10,000 per financial year. On Indian exchanges, TDS is deducted by exchange. On P2P or offshore sale, it is deducted by the buyer, and all the TDS have to be reflected in 26 AS, and you can claim the credit while filing your income tax return. Now, core provisions of TDS, as I have already mentioned, the rate at the rate of 1% of the transfer value is to be deducted. It is applicable on crypto, NFTs, and all VDAs. Threshold limit is 50,000 and 10,000. I have already explained. Exchange transaction, exchange will deduct TDS if it is through exchange, and if it is from person to person, then will deduct it. And even if transfer is in kind, for example, as I have said that I have sold my bitcoins to Rashmiji and I have purchased her ETH. So in this case, we both are the buyers because I have bought ETH from her. She has bought bitcoins from me. She will deduct the TDS on the transaction value of Bitcoin, and I will deduct TDS on the transaction value of ETH. So that is the way in case of if it is a transfer of in kind. No conflict with section 194Q. Purchase के ऊपर जो हमारे को TDS करना पड़ता है, वो section इसमें override हो जाता है. Section 194 exempts requirement of section 194Q. Only section 194S will have to be taken care of. Reporting and non-compliance. Form 26Q is to be filed by specified person within 30 days from the end of month in which the transaction or transfer has taken place, and for exchanges and other entities, the Form 26Q and Form 26QF needs to be filed every quarter. Computation based, TDS to be deducted on the net consideration minus GST. So when we talk of GST, we think that on the entire value GST is applicable. No. GST per se is not applicable on supply of bitcoins or supply of any virtual digital assets. Only the exchange fee, internet charges which we pay, or commission which we pay to the exchanges, on that 18% GST is liable. So TDS needs to be deducted on the basic value but not on the GST value. I have received it, I will go faster. So consequences for non-compliance, interest at the rate of 1% has to be paid till the default continues, and then penalties. I will come to the topic later on. Reporting, ITR 2 and ITR 3. Who will report it in ITR 2 and who will report it in ITR 3? If it is an investment, if I am not dealing too frequently in sale purchase of VDAs, then it is my investment and I need to file ITR 2 and show my income in ITR 2. If I am a trader and I am dealing day in, day out in sale purchase of VDAs, then I need to file it in ITR 3. Regardless of ITR 2 or ITR 3, flat 30% tax will be charged in both the cases. Now, from 2023, VDA schedule has become mandatory to be mentioned in the income tax return form. There are 8 items which are required to be filled in: name and type of VDA, Bitcoin, ETH, NFT, date of acquisition, cost of acquisition, date of transfer, consideration received, head of income, whether I am declaring it as a capital gain or business income. I don't know why they want this to be done, because tax rate is 30%, but then also they want a classification that how I am treating it. probably to find out whether are lost from each transaction, tedious details if any for the reconciliation. तो इसमें ये सारा शेड्यूल जो सा है वो बड़े ध्यान से बनना है, उसके अंदर कोई और ये आपको हर अलग, अगर आपने साल के अंदर बिटकॉइंस खरीदे हैं, ETH खरीदे हैं, तो आपको ETH का अलग बनाना है, बिटकॉइंस का अलग बनाना है और बाकी एसेट्स का अलग बनाना है। नाउ पेनल्टीज, प्रोसिक्यूशन एंड एनफोर्समेंट। 200 रुपीज पर डे की पेनल्टी है सेक्शन 272A में फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ नॉन रिपोर्टिंग। होल्ड द बिटकॉइंस, मैंने ट्रेडिंग भी की और अपनी आइडिया नहीं फाइल की या वर्चुअल वीडियो का शेड्यूल जो है उसको नहीं फिलअप किया, तो उस केस के अंदर जब तक वो डिफॉल्ट कंटिन्यू करेगा 200 रुपीज पर डे के हिसाब से आई एम लायबल टू पे द पेनल्टी अंडर सेक्शन 272A। देन under reporting and misreporting. For under reporting any income, the penalty is at the rate of 50% of the tax, and in case of misreporting, it is 200% of the tax. This is by virtue of section 270 capital A. Incorrect and incomplete reporting. For furnishing incorrect details in my VDA schedule, 8 आइटम्स थी, मैंने 6 भर दी या उसके अंदर कोई डेट गलत भर दी, तो उस केस के अंदर 50,000 रुपीज की पेनल्टी जो सी लगेगी अंडर सेक्शन 271 कैपिटल है। एंड प्रोसिक्यूशन, अगर मेरे अगेंस्ट विलफुल टैक्स इवेजन का केस बनता है तो प्रोसिक्यूशन आल्सो विल बी लॉन्च्ड एंड द इम्प्रिजनमेंट इज अप टू 3 months to 7 years with fine. So this is the thing. Now from 2026 class 439 has been introduced in income tax act 2025. So data sharing from exchanges has become very strict, and now detection is near certain and you cannot escape or avoid it. Valuation rules, इसकी वैल्यू कैसे दी जाएगी? ये कोई नॉर्मली ऐसी चीज तो है नहीं जो कि रोज उसकी वैल्यू पता चल सके, तो इसके लिए आपको एक्सचेंज की वैल्यू, जिस समय आप ट्रांजेक्शन कर रहे हैं उस समय की एक्सचेंज की वैल्यू पकड़नी है, उस समय क्या और उसको आपको डॉक्यूमेंट करके रखना है। वाई? बिकॉज हर एक्सचेंज में अलग वैल्यू मिलेगी आपको। आपने 12:10 पे ट्रेड किया बिटकॉइन, इंडिया में बैठ के किसी एक्सचेंज में फाइनेंस पे किया या उस पे किया, वहां वैल्यूएशन आपकी अलग आएगी। bitcoin.com पे जाके अमेरिका में किया 12:10 पे ही वहां वैल्यू अलग आ रही होगी। तो इसलिए आपको डॉक्यूमेंटेशन पूरी प्रॉपर रखनी है ये बताने के लिए कि मैंने वो कैसे अराइव की है वैल्यू। एंड इट इज ए बिग चैलेंज फॉर द ऑडिटर्स आल्सो कि वो उसको रिपोर्टिंग, उसको रिटर्न के अंदर कैसे करना है। देन the challenge again comes to when I make crypto to crypto. मैंने बिटकॉइन ETH पे दिए और ETH ले लिए, अब उसकी वैल्यूएशंस कैसे निकाली जाएंगी और वो कैसे हो, तो वो भी हमारे को एक्सचेंज रेट के ऊपर ही जाके देखना पड़ेगा उसकी वैल्यूएशन कैसे होगी। कॉस्ट ऑफ एक्विजिशन मैंने आपको बताया था कि कॉस्ट ऑफ एक्विजिशन में बेसिक प्राइस प्लस जितने भी डायरेक्ट एक्सपेंसेस हैं, चाहे वो मेरे को अलाउ नहीं होते कंप्यूटेशन में से डिडक्शन में, लेकिन मेरे को उसको प्रॉपर्ली रिकॉर्ड मेंटेन करके रखना है। Then practical challenge, as I have said, multiple exchanges show different prices, so maintain consistent methodology and document it. Keep the evidences that how you have arrived it. Then coming to the gift tax. Any gift which is received between relatives as defined under section 56 subsection 2 class 10, that is exempt. So this VDA is also exempt. If I give bitcoins to my son, there is no tax in his hands and in my hand also, and same is the case vice versa also. So that list of relatives have to be taken from the income tax act, उसी relative जिसके हिसाब से चलेंगे। But in case of gift made to some other person who is a non-relative, the aggregate value of all the gifts including VDA, if it exceeds 50,000 rupees in a financial year, you need to pay the gift tax on it. So you have to be very careful for this thing. Generally, giver has not to pay any tax, receiver has to pay the tax. Now, 2025 में जो एक्ट और पिछला एक्ट जो है उसमें कोई चेंज नहीं आया as far as टैक्स डेट या TDS की प्रोविजन या लॉस कैरी फॉरवर्ड करने की, या उसमें सिंपली नाम बदले हैं, अंदर वही चीज़ है, लिफाफे बदल गए हैं, वही चीज़ है और कुछ नहीं है। डेफिनेशन VDA की वही है, सेक्शन 2 सबसेक्शन 47A में जो थी वो अब सेक्शन 2111 हो गई है। टैक्स रेट वही 30% ही है, सेक्शन 115 BBI से बदल के क्लास 194 हो गई है। सिमिलरली TDS भी वही 1% ही रहेगा, सेक्शन 194S की जगह पे सेक्शन 393 टेबल 1 सीरियल नंबर 8 सब क्लास 6 इंट्रोड्यूस कर दिया। एसेट क्लासिफिकेशन, पहले ये इंटेंजिबल एसेट से माने जाते थे, अब ये एक्सप्लिसिटली नए एक्ट में प्रॉपर्टी या कैपिटल एसेट की तरह ट्रीट किए जाएंगे। EAS की रिपोर्टिंग पहले मैंडेटरी नहीं थी, जो कि अब नए एक्ट के हिसाब से वो मैंडेटरी हो गई है। और सीजर पावर, पहले जनरल प्रोविजन जो सीजर के होते थे एसेट्स के ऊपर वो एप्लीकेबल होते थे, अब एक्सप्लिसिट पावर दे दी गई है कि आप वर्चुअल डिजिटल एसेट्स को भी सीज कर सकते हैं इन केस ऑफ सर्च ऑपरेशंस एंड ऑल। नाउ कंप्लायंस, मेंटेन ए ट्रांजैक्शन लॉग। हर आपको इसके अंदर बड़ा ध्यान से रखना है, पूरा लॉग मेंटेन करना है आपको बिटकॉइन का कि मैंने किस डेट को कितने बजे, जैसे मैंने बोला था एक्सचेंज रेट निकालने के लिए, तो प्रॉपर लॉग आपको मेंटेन करना है। आपने TDS कौन सा कटा है, अपनी रिटर्न फाइल करने से पहले 26 लीजिएगा, AAS लीजिएगा, उसके अंदर जो 194S का TDS या 393 सेक्शन क्लास का नया TDS आएगा उसको अपनी इनकम के साथ कोरिलेट कीजिएगा, रिकंसाइल कीजिएगा, सो दैट देयर मे नॉट बी एनी मिसमैच एंड यू विल रिसीव ए नोटिस एट अ लेटर डेट। डिस्टिंग्विश सेक्शन 194 TDS विद अदर रेगुलर TDS। बाकी TDS से 194S का जो सा TDS है उसको अलग से देखिएगा और अकॉर्डिंगली प्लान कीजिएगा। सिमिलरली अगर आप फ्रीक्वेंट ट्रेडर है तो एडवांस टैक्स की इंस्टॉलमेंट जब आपने पे करनी है, तो बाकी इनकम्स को जब आप कंसीडर करते हैं तो आपको उस क्वार्टर के अंदर, उस पर्टिकुलर पीरियड के अंदर कितना आपका VDA का गेन आया है उसको भी आपको उसको कंसीडर करके चलना है। लॉस तो आपको मिलना ही है, इसलिए आपको सिंपली एक कंपटीशन बना के रखनी है, लेकिन लॉस का आपको कोई बेनिफिट नहीं मिलना है। एंड डॉक्यूमेंट वॉलेट टू वॉलेट ट्रांसफर, जैसे मैंने आपको बोला कि मैंने अपने जो से इंडिया से दुबई के अंदर भेजिए, दुबई से अमेरिका में भेजिए, तो वो आपको उसका प्रॉपर पूरा लॉग मेंटेन करके रखना है, जिससे कि कल को वो ट्रांसफर की डेफिनेशन में ना आ जाए और उसके ऊपर कोई इनकम टैक्स का नोटिस आने पे आपको प्रूव करना है कि ये मैंने ट्रांसफर नहीं किए हैं, ये वॉलेट टू वॉलेट ट्रांसफर किए गए। कॉमन मिस्टेक्स टू अवॉइड, स्मॉल ट्रेड्स को आप जो सोचते हैं एक दो कर लिए छोड़ दिया कोई बात नहीं, बट नो, हर चीज इस समय गवर्नमेंट की नॉलेज में आ रही है, क्योंकि अब रिपोर्टिंग इसकी बहुत स्ट्रिक्ट हो गई है, CBDT को प्रॉपर रिपोर्टिंग हर चीज की हो रही है। तो इस वजह से छोटी से छोटी भी अगर आप ट्रेडिंग कर रहे हैं, चाहे आपने पूरे साल में एक ट्रांजैक्शन की है, उसको आप भूलिएगा नहीं, उसको आप दिखाइएगा। नॉन रिपोर्टिंग ऑफ क्रिप्टो टू क्रिप्टो, कि मैंने अपने पास क्रिप्टो ही थे, वो मैंने बेसिकली से क्रिप्टो ले लिया, उसको मैंने सोचा कि क्या जरूरत है रिपोर्ट करने की, नो, उसको भी मेरे को कैलकुलेट करके अपने रिटर्न के अंदर प्रॉपर्ली रिपोर्ट करना है। ITR 1 नहीं मैं VDA के लिए यूज कर सकता, अगर मैंने VDA का गेन लिया तो ITR 2 या ITR 3 नहीं भरूंगा, मैं उसको ITR 1 में नहीं भर सकता। और इसी तरीके से जैसे मैंने बताया कि कैपिटल गेन 20% टैक्स लगता है, अब 12.5% हो गया, मैं वो कैपिटल गेन का बेनिफिट नहीं ले सकता। यस, 2022 से पहले का अगर नोटिस आएगा तो आप वो बेनिफिट ले सकते हैं। नॉट अकाउंटिंग फॉर गिफ्टेड, हाँ, जो मेरे को एयर ड्रॉप्स मिले, जैसे बोनस शेयर्स वगैरह मिले, वो टैक्सेबल इवेंट है। अब वो क्योंकि मैंने कोई पेमेंट तो की नहीं है उसकी, तो मैंने सोचा उसको मेरे को अपने रिटर्न में क्यों दिखाना है, और मैं भूल जाता हूँ दिखाना, जब जान के उसको एस्केप कर देता हूँ। तो ऐसे केसेस के अंदर आई एम अट्रैक्टिंग ए नोटिस एंड प्रोसीडिंग्स अगेंस्ट मी, सो बी केयरफुल फॉर दैट। एज्यूमिंग ऑफशोर एक्सचेंजेस ट्रांजैक्शंस आर इनविजिबल, ये सोच लिया कि मैंने डायरेक्ट रश्मि जी से परचेज कर लिया ETH, तो शायद किसी को नहीं पता चलेगा, नो, पूरा लॉग जो उनसे आजकल मेंटेन हो रहा है वो भी पता चल जाएगा, इसलिए उसको भी अवॉइड करने की जरूरत, गलती मत कीजिएगा। देन दिस इज, आई विल नॉट टेक मच टाइम, ये सारी वो चीज़ें उसका एक समरी बनी हुई है, दिस इज ऑल व्हाट आई हैव टू से। थैंक यू।